Hi, this is Jason and Lon. We both work at Post Smokes. We're kind of out in the middle of nowhere right now. We're going to get ready to demonstrate some of the equipment and stuff that we sell at Post Smokes. It's a balmy 8 degrees right now. What you're looking at is where we're actually going to build our shelter for the night. We're going to stay up here for 24 hours. Our shelter is going to be constructed using tools and made with stuff that we bought from Post Smokes. There's Lon with his brand new Estwing camp axe that, well, we carry at Post Smokes. There's a blowgun right there. We're hoping to use that to get some food, but if not, we did bring some MREs just in case, but we'd rather live off something that we can get up here. And we'll keep you posted throughout the night and show some details as we go through how we build our shelter, start our fire, use some of the stuff that we have, and we'll be checking in from time to time throughout the night. So far we've only been using our paracord and the Estwing axe that you saw earlier and one of these Gerber camp axes. Right now everything is working exceptionally well. We've used some paracord to lash off some cross pieces. You can start seeing the framework of our shelter coming up here. We're going to be placing one of our base camp tarps across the top to reflect some heat. We'll keep you updated on that as we go along as well. But just to give you an idea of what our shelter looks like so far, there'll be a campfire right out in front of it and a thermal wall over in this direction. And we'll give you a full tour of the camp when everything's done being built. But just wanted to give you kind of a work in progress view of it. And again, so far everything is working wonderfully. The axes are performing great. They're very lightweight, very sharp. And you can see we're going to be testing a couple of our sleeping bags tonight. We have some of the lanterns we'll be using. We have one of our machetes. A couple of the packs that we have up here are from the store as well. So we're going to sign out and build some more work, do some more work on this. And when we get along a little bit further, we'll give you an update and let you see how the progress is coming along. So far, we're trying to fairly intense labor here for about an hour and a half now. Things are coming along pretty nicely. If you look around, you can see we've got pine boughs along the sides and the back. We're lashed off to our trees with paracord, so it's not going to go anywhere for us. Inside, you can see we'll be side by side, head up. We have right here one of the base tarps that we sell at the store. They do include lashing guidelines. You can see the lashing right there. They include stakes. It's kind of hard to tell from this picture, from the angle you're at. The inside actually has an aluminized coating on it. What that's going to do is bounce some of our body heat back to us in the shelter. You can see we've used the silver side down on the tarp for the ceiling, and that'll actually perform the same function. Our fire will be about right up in here, just outside, and there will be another base tarp that we'll use the guidelines to suspend from the trees here. We'll show you that when we get it done, if it works out as we've planned. We're not really sure if we're going to need it. The shelter's coming out pretty efficiently. We've got the prevailing winds coming from this direction over here. So that's the side where you see we've got a good 1.5 feet, 2 feet of pine boughs on the side. So things are coming along pretty well. We figure within half an hour here, we'll show you how we're going to start a fire using our flint and steel and some of our fire dust. We'll show you a final image of this when it's all done and ready for us to kick back and relax with some coffee. Too bad we forgot the harmonica. And we're looking at about 13 degrees still. You can see the sun's still shining, but it is starting to go down. So we're going to start thinking about getting our campfire started and grabbing ourselves some food and getting some coffee started. We've got a couple of Esbit coffee cups we're going to be testing out. You can see hanging in our tent here, or our shelter I should say. We're clearing up a little bit, give us a slightly nicer surface to lay on. We do have some UCO candelabras. Each one holds 3 candles. Each one puts out about 1,600 BTUs of heat, I believe it is. We're going to use those for extra heat and light throughout the night if we do need them. And actually they put out 5,000 BTUs of heat. I'm checking here on the box. Again, those also came from Post Smokes. There's an auto-inflating pad we're going to be using as a cushion, and I'm sure by now you know where that came from. You can see we do have our canteens here that came from there. There's a rocket stove. We're going to be getting the fire going shortly, and we'll bring you up to speed on that. Just as a little bit of update, our shelter is done. You can see the ground is scraped clean. So that is ready to roll. We're pretty much ready to relax for the evening. I'm happy to say that after a fair amount of abuse, gathering firewood, softwood, and hardwood, the Gerber axe and the S-Wing axe both held up very well. You can see there's a piece of cherry we cut. We also tested one of our duck and deer saws, folding saws. That worked very well. I'm sure they'll see a lot more use before morning. That's about all we've got for you right now. There's a percolator. We're going to be firing it up pretty soon. And we'll be back to you when once we're starting the fire. You can see how our flint steels work. And we're going to test out some of the tinder dust that we carry. See how that works, getting a fire going so we can have ourselves a cup of coffee and relax with some of our tactical playing cards, which I'm sure you've guessed by now we got at Post Smokes. Don't really have anything else for you right now. We'll come back to you when we have some fires going.
And eat.
Okay, I've got some steel wool here. Steel wool is about my favorite fire starter. If you touch it with a 9-volt battery, it will start on fire immediately, whether it's wet or not. I'm actually just going to use ferro rod, just a little striker kit that we sell. Next to it, I have a pile of this tinder dust that we sell. It's pine heartwood. What I'm going to try doing, I've never used this before, but I'm going to strike a spark into the steel wool. Then I'll transfer the tinder dust to it and blow that up into a fire, and we'll see how that works out.
You notice one little spark on that steel wool set it right off. If you could just get it going into a blaze here, we'll be all set.
Looks like we're going to try it just with the fire dust. Okay, turn that off. We're going to try this. we're going to take two here. And I'm going to strike a spark into the steel wool. And then we have some of this tinder dust that we're trying out for the first time. We do sell this at Post Smokes along with these.
Who would have thought?
Rods. I know, there's a shock, right? So we're going to give this a shot and see if we can't blow this into some flame. Again, this is the first time we've done this, so we're going to give this a try and see how it works out.
We have fire.
Okay, and there you go. Just one little spark. Again, I can't stress how much I value personally just a cheap piece of steel wool to carry with you. You can see I'm getting a nice lasting flame from the tinder dust, and we had no problems with our fire starter. I'm going to not try to burn the whole fire starter, but now it's just a simple matter of nursing this up into a flame. Make sure you don't overfeed your fire when you start it. It's real easy to choke a fire to death. Remember, they do need oxygen, so force feeding them is not the way to go. Just slowly work your way up, and we'll come back to you in a couple minutes here. At least to you it'll seem like a couple minutes. To us it's going to seem like forever because we're going to be waiting on a cup of coffee. So we will check in with you in a little while here. Give it a try. We have Esbit portable coffee pots, and you can see we do have our fire going. It's going nicely. Our canteens froze, so we're thawing in our big percolator right there, having to melt some snow while we wait for our canteens to thaw because, well, it is kind of chilly out here. But you can also see we do have heat going directly into. You can actually see the smoke blowing in. You can see the lantern swaying. We do have our bags out now. But what we wanted to show you that's actually really cool is you can actually see right there there is a steady stream of coffee pouring out of there, and what that's actually using for fuel is one of the Esbit solid fuel cubes. There's actually, I believe, a dozen of them in here. Yeah, there's 12 of them in there for $4, and one of those cubes is actually percolating coffee in the Esbit coffee maker. So it's something pretty cool. Since there's two of us camping, it's more of a tease than anything else. We just wanted to test it and show you how it worked, just to give you an idea of how well it does work. Because I'm sure you've heard me mention at the start of this segment, the water in our canteens is frozen. We're waiting for it to thaw out. We were able to squeeze enough out past the ice plug, so that actually started with ice water. So it actually works amazingly well. I'd say it's been going, probably about 10 minutes now. And we are about to have at least a sip of coffee. It makes 7 ounces, which is perfect for one person. If it was the only cup we have, there'd probably only be one of us coming out of the woods tomorrow morning. But luckily we do have extra coffee right there. But we just wanted to show you how well that does work. If a couple backpackers each had one, or if you had a couple patient people, you could run 2 cubes, 2 batches, have 2 cups of coffee in about 20 minutes to half an hour. So it is a cool little thing. The stand that you see it standing on actually fits inside it, and the entire unit stores in this bag right here. So it's a perfect backpack size item for someone going by themselves up in the woods, or if everyone has one, or like I said, if everyone's patient. So we just wanted to show you how that Esbit coffee maker worked. It is a pretty cool little item, and we will check back in a little while. Right now, we've got a couple of the MREs that we got over at Post Smokes. We've got, we ended up, both of us, with beef stew, which a couple of us have tried before, and it's delicious. You can see a heater pack running right there on one of our mess kits. It'll be done probably in about 10 minutes. We'll have a nice hot bowl of stew. You can see we do have the tents laid out. We've got our sporks over there. We do have the coffee going at the side of the fire. Can't wait for that. So we just figured we'd bring you a little bit of an update. The sun is starting to go down. I don't know if you can see it over there. We're looking at about 45 minutes till dark. We're in the shade. Part of where we are is still in the sun, but it's starting to get a little brisk out. At least I'm guessing as I step away from the fire, which I don't do a whole lot more than I'm willing to do, than I have to. But we did manage to find some nice hardwood. When you're out camping, you always want to try to find hardwood if possible. We do have a ready supply of pine, and it burns hot, but it burns very fast. It won't give you much of a bed of coals. It won't hold the heat for very long. If you can see in the fire there, we have a nice glow coming off. We've got some chunks of cherry. We found some feldwood from a tree that fell over. If you can collect your firewood when it dries off the ground, you see how that pine's laying there. You're really better off trying to find standing deadwood or leaning deadwood. If you find it laying on the ground, it might feel dry on the outside. You'll throw it in your fire, and before you know it, you got water spraying all over the place. So try to find the wood that's leaning. You can see there's a couple more up there. Just to show you real quick how well we've got the heat drawing in. You can still see we've got a fairly small fire. We'll have no trouble keeping it going all night. It's plenty to cook on, plenty to make our coffee on. Got some snow right there in the cup off the bottom of one of our Gerber Bear Grylls canteens from the store. A loaf of my wife's banana bread there for later. But if you take a look at the lanterns there, you can see them swaying. Now if you look up at the tree branches, you'll notice they're not moving at all. It's actually heat that we're collecting in our shelters, and it's very visible by how the lanterns sway. And that's kind of important to how you angle your shelter. You don't want your fire in it, but you want it close enough to be able to catch the heat as it rises, which is why I mentioned earlier you wanted to know which direction the wind's coming from. You really want to try to capture as much of that heat as you can. It'll make a big difference when you're trying to get a good night's sleep. So just a little something to bear in mind. We're going to go back to our dinner. I'm enjoying my sugar cookies here and eagerly waiting for the coffee. Lon's getting a little impatient with his beef stew over there. So we're going to sign out, and the next time you see us, it's probably going to be dark. So we will be checking in with you again later this evening. Okay, folks, time for a little update here. They say hindsight is 20/20, and we didn't bring enough water. So what we're doing is we're melting snow in all our containers just non-stop. We do have one canteen filled, so it's not really a matter of concern. Just goes to show the importance of water. By not enough water, I mean we're in danger of running low on coffee, which some of you may understand that is not enough water. So we are melting snow to ensure that we have a steady supply of coffee.
Just a heads up, don't use the yellow snow.
Yes, avoid the yellow snow. The brown ice also does not melt well. It is now 10 to 7, so we're well into dark for our night here. There's not really a whole lot you can see. You can kind of make out the mountains over across the way, but you can see it is dark. We are using a different camera now, so hopefully this is coming in for you. You can see our fire and our shelter up this way. What we're doing is we're collecting snow out of the fields, all the trees and stuff that you can't see, maybe a little bit. They leave a lot of residue on the snow. Not a big deal, especially when you're using it for coffee. It will be boiled, but skimming it out and everything is kind of a pain, so we're going out to the field to get it where there's not as much of a thick layer. What we've done to keep from exerting ourselves on chopping this hardwood is we're just feeding it in. We put a piece here to keep it level to the fire. Then you can see it's just feeding in, and as the hardwood burns, we'll load it up with pine. There you can see we've got our water melting around the sides. Our canteens are here, so the water we collect does not refreeze. There's my wife's banana bread. You can also see we put everything where it can be easily obtained. You don't want to have to go hunting all over in the dark, and you also don't want to step on stuff, so keep it off to the side. You can see we're well off to the side of our shelter, but where you can still get to it easily. Any foodstuffs you have, you are going to want to store a little bit away from your camp area. You don't really want to attract wild animals unless you plan on eating said wild animals.
There's wild animals here?
So we do recommend you keep it slightly away from your campsite. You can also see that we have lit one of the UCO candle lanterns available at Post Smokes.
Which will also heat a cup of coffee on the top? It
will. You can heat a cup of coffee up on the top. You see there's a hot plate right there. We highly recommend you avoid touching it. It does get hot. The candles are spring fed. You can see the silver around the outside with the candle coming up through the center. There's a spring underneath. There's a spring underneath those that as the candle burns, it pushes the candle up through so you don't get any drips. You use every single bit of the candle. We've only lit one just for some additional light. We'll light this one later on tonight. You get 9 hours. You don't have to light all 3, but we did bring some spares, so
it does give off quite a bit of heat.
Yeah, it's giving off about 5,000 BTUs of heat and about 60 lumens of light. So just the one illuminates in there pretty well, but we figured we'd have it going just if we wander out. It'll help us find our way back a little bit, adds a little bit extra light to the fire. So that's your first after dark update. I'm about to enjoy a cup of coffee, so the camera will be off for a little while. We'll continue melting snow, and we'll be checking in throughout the night. Again, like I said, at some point we do have these Maxpedition tactical playing cards. Maybe we'll run some of these through the snow and see if we can't ruin those to see how they hold up. They're 100% PVC, so we should be fine. And we will check in with you later this evening. We just wanted to let everybody see just how comfortable it can actually be with a little bit of proper prep. You can see we've got our second pot of coffee going there. I've got a nice hot cup from our first pot right there. We've still got our canteens of water going here. So we're sitting back having a cup of coffee. We've got some snack foods that we packed, so we're just sitting back. Yep, those are Rich and Creamy Minis, the top of the line survival food. But we're actually pretty comfortable. Right now it's not really that much different than camping in the summer, except we have to tend the fire a bit more. But with the way we're feeding the logs in, it's really not much of an issue. Our biggest thing really now is sitting back, relaxing, and keeping the coffee going. Now in a survival situation, we'd have some snares out. which we'll go over at a later date. We do carry a number of snares and materials that can be used to make snares, as well as the blowguns, slingshots.
And let me guess, Post Smokes carries those items. Am I correct?
Post Smokes does carry those items. You are correct, Lon.
Thank you.
But we just wanted to show you when we're not working, when we're not doing anything, not collecting snow. No, we're just sitting back, relaxing and drinking some coffee. Not a lot different probably than we'd be doing if we were home. Doing dishes is a bit more tedious.
No honeydew list out here.
There's no honeydew list, but we definitely have to keep our own clean. You can see there's our stew dish right there. That's mine from earlier. Just fill it with some snow, boil it, and good to go. So we just wanted to give you a little glimpse into the downtime. It's not exactly the worst form of roughing it you could do, sitting back with a hot cup of coffee and just chilling. So for those of you that thought we were going to freeze to death, we'd just like to say we're pretty darn comfortable right now. Alright, we're just doing another check-in here. As you can see, the fire's still burning real nice. We haven't been attacked by anything. Heard a few coyotes up here. You can see the fire's still going good. You can see I forgot to move the coffee pot back in. We'll just get that back in there so it stays nice and hot. It is now 9:45 p.m. and my cell phone is showing 8 degrees outside. The thermometer that we have hanging, which is right there, you can see it's being lit up by Lon's flashlight, is reading 40 degrees in our shelter, which obviously we would be eminently survivable not in the sleeping bags. We do have the 2 mummy bags that we got from Post Smokes. I'm not even sure if we're going to have to get in those tonight. The temperature's actually still rising in our shelter. There's no wind tonight. There is no snow. So looks like a relatively peaceful night, as we remarked on the last one. Just kind of sitting around drinking some coffee. We'll have our nice breakfast in the morning, and got some oatmeal and another MRE. Still got a whole bunch of snacks. We're no longer melting snow. We've managed to catch up on that. We now have 2 coolers full and a rocket stove full. You can see the bottle right there, keeping them close to the fire so they don't freeze. So everything's going very well. We have plenty of firewood already split and split and stacked. You can see we still have some over here, and we still have some hardwood there. This is actually some pine that we can use for maintaining our embers. We've got this 20-foot long piece of deadfall maple right here. You can see goes off into the distance there. So we're pretty much set on firewood. Good rule of thumb when you're gathering firewood, when you think you have enough, get 3 times more. It's a lot better than stumbling around the woods in the dark. You can see we have some good amounts of smoke rolling into our tent here, so we got enough heat to keep our lanterns swaying. And I don't think insects are going to be a problem tonight.
I hope not.
So we should be pretty good. I'm not sure if we'll do any more check-ins tonight. We'll probably do the rest in the morning. Not a whole lot that's going to be changing. So it's about 9:45. We're going to shut our camera down, and we'll check in again in the morning. All right, this will be our final check-in of the evening. It is, it looks to be about 9 minutes after midnight. We still have the fire going. We've got it banked up pretty well on the other side, so it'll slowly burn across. In the morning we'll be able to get up and stoke it back up.
So technically we did make it till Saturday.
So here it is, Saturday. We are still alive. We have our wood banked for in the morning as well, or should I say stacked up to get the fire stoked up. We'll brew a pot of coffee while we're packing up, cleaning up the mess we have up here. Take everything back down that we brought in with us. You can see we have our water sitting right over there, so it'll still be nice and warm in the morning. Got the pot of coffee right there so it won't be frozen. That should be pretty much spreadable in the morning. And We are in our mummy bags. Lon's in there somewhere. There he is. The face finder's actually finding his tag instead of his face. It's a little chilly. The camera's not focusing the way it's supposed to, but we are in our snug pack sleeping bags from, well, you know, from Post Smokes. You can see there's my feet down there. They are definitely warm bags. You can notice I actually have a little bit of snow on the outside of mine that's not melting. Not necessarily a bad thing. Shows we're insulated pretty well. I don't know if Lon managed to get into his with a space blanket, but I do have an emergency space blanket in mine. They definitely reflect a lot of heat. We could actually feel the heat just from unwrapping them. So we should be pretty warm and toasty. We've got both of our candelabras going here. So they should last till about, well, that one right there will probably last till about 3:30 in the morning. That one will probably last till about 4:30 in the morning. So we should be nice and snug, fairly comfortable. Shelter's holding up well. We're pretty pleased with that overall. We had probably about, I'd say, what, about 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours into the shelter. You can see we've got the snow from where we cleared off. Snow actually makes an excellent insulator. We scraped it off the insides. You can see if you look over here, we've got it banked up, and it's actually holding the bottom of the pine boughs in. We have pine boughs back here as well, just to help keep some of the wind out. This is probably the closest view you've had of them so far. You can see everything's lashed together up here, and at all the corners and joints with paracord. We're lashed to the tree over there. So we use 550 cord to actually hold everything together. Again, that's one of our base tarps. It's actually meant for a single camper. It can be a roof tarp. It is aluminized on one side, so it does reflect heat. It can be used for signaling. I guess that answers our question about Lon's space blanket. So right there in the corner.
Did we mention the 550 cord came from Post Smokes?
I believe, yes, it did come from Post Smokes. You are correct.
That's right. 8 cents a foot.
8 cents a foot with a minimum 10-foot purchase. You can get yourself a real nice set of bootlaces for 80 cents, that's for sure.
In multiple colors.
In many colors, 53 colors, as a matter of fact. So we're getting ready to try to catch some sleep here. Not sure how much sleep we're actually going to get. Not because I'm cold, or not because I'm worried about the fire. I just tend to sleep very lightly outside. So we will check in again probably in the morning this time for sure. I know I said that last time. Well, I lied. And we decided to check in one more time. So we are going to turn the camera off, and it will be light the next time we turn it back on. Okay, hello everybody. It is 6:20 a.m. It's a beautiful morning out. You can see we've got the sun coming up over here. So we have a gorgeous sunrise waiting for us, or greeting us, I should say. You can see a little better now. A little bit of the view. We walk up our little pathway here. You can see our shelter held up for the night. The part that we've found truly amazing is, one, we've gone through quite a bit of firewood, and two, the UCO candelabras. They are rated for 9 hours. They have made it far past that, nearly 12 hours on the UCO candelabras. We have one there. We moved one out here, and they are going strong, which is actually truly amazing. We're going to be starting our cleanup pretty soon. Just burning up some last firewood right now, and just getting ready to head back down for the day, put the coffee on, start our day the right way. So we probably won't be doing any more recordings. I think we've pretty much demonstrated that using all the products and items available at Post Smokes, it is actually possible to survive fairly comfortably a night up in the woods with nothing more than a backpack. Well-stocked backpack, but no tents or anything else. So on that note, we are going to sign off, have a cup of coffee, and we hope to see you all at the store.